everybody. What do you say? What do you know? Welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. Linda's giving me the thumbs up. I'm here with the evil one. What's happening, Eddie?
Oh, same old. You know how it is. Work.
I know it. It's always that, isn't it? Although this has been a good week because I've been traveling a lot, as you've known. And I just got back from the Off-Road Expo, which was on fire at Pomona. For those of you who are into off-road vehicles, my God, you got to check that out. I want to thank our friends from Pioneer. We still have more of these backup cameras. I've got a shed out there, Ed, with more Pioneer equipment. I'm going to have to buy a bigger shed. I went on the Pioneer website, and I was able to, this is what I love about Pioneer. He says, go to the site and select $1,000 worth of promotional items for your guys, huh? So I went in there with Linda. We got some Pioneer keychains, and we got some Pioneer coolers and a ton of audio. And that's in addition to all the other stuff that they're giving. So thanks to our presenting sponsor, Pioneer. They'll be on hand at the big Joe's Minibike Reunion, which is upcoming the 19th of October right here in beautiful La Crescenta. We have a ton of folks that have pre-registered.
Now, I want to win a bike.
See it, Ed? I have it perched up there.
Yeah. That's
the RCF Evan Rubble Micro that E will get some photos of and show you. If you haven't seen the podcast, he was on the podcast. What was it? A couple podcasts ago. And Evan is taking this little micro frame segment of the hobby to market, and we'll be giving one away to pre-registered participants for the show only. We'll kick the show off by giving that away. And I've got a major guest that's going to be joining us via the phone, Ed, in a little while. Huh? He's your favorite, right?
Yeah. I like Dave.
Dave Miller. Dave Miller. Having Dave just come to the show, Ed, was just a relief. I needed to catch a break. You see this place, we actually turned the studio around. So if
it's packed.
If you're wondering why all the sponsor logos are sideways, with the exception of Go Power Sports, because I screwed up. I forgot to put them on the card. I hate when that shit happens, you know? Like 25 logos on the promotional card, and I forgot them, and I don't know how I can. How much product do we have from them, Ed?
We got some stuff.
What do you got there?
I don't know. I got some kind of kit, a throttle kit with a carburetor and an air cleaner. It's got a 90-degree bend in the throttle cable. I think it's a 22 clone Mikuni.
Yeah.
Some grips.
Look, you got the whole throttle set up. Yeah. Kill switch. So there's boxes and more boxes from Go Power Sports for giveaways.
Nice little air filter.
Yeah, it's either a stage 1, 2, and 3 kits they made available. I've got a variety of boxes from them. Thank you, Go Power Sports. Look at Ed. Every color imaginable. Black. That's probably for you, right?
Yeah.
Yellow. Red. These are all air filter sleeves. We've got product from Mothers. How can I not go over? Mothers always is there, right? Mothers Polish are giving away a ton of stuff. This is the new ceramic coating to keep your car looking new. I don't know how that do on your truck. We may need a couple bottles. We need a couple bottles of this shit for you. Decals. Look, Joe from, check those out, Ed. What does that say?
Muscle mini bike build.
All right, we got decals from them.
It's got that guy with the crew cut with the muscle.
Those are dudes with the barbed wire tattoos? I was never that guy. Were you?
No.
No. All right. But there's plenty of them out there. See, these decals, I finally got it right. I finally got the size of the Joe's Minibike Reunion decals right because the other ones were too big. Look at you see the size of them. They were 5 times the size of these. These can actually fit on a mini bike.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we'll be putting these in goodie bags. I've got a ton of products. Scott's, Scott's is local here. And they have they got everything for mostly dirt bikes and enduros, but they're local. They have a line of shocks that's second to none, and they always help out. We have Pioneer backup cameras. I've got head units. I've got speakers. I've got products from Studs. Eric's coming.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Eric from Studs is going to be joining us from Michigan. Calman Carisi is driving.
Oh, he's driving.
With his wife. Here, Ed, let me fix this for you.
Oh, that's about 3 days. 3 days drive.
He's stopping in Denver. Why do you think he's stopping in Denver? All right? Okay, duh. Pick up a little weed, right? Then you come to Vegas, you lose a little money.
Hope he doesn't lose all his money.
Well, it depends how good the weed is. And then he'll be bringing, and this was made it really extra cool. Now we will all see, and the custom class just got a little bit of a shakeup. Eric Shingle's custom, that Harrison, will be with Cal. Cal's transporting it out here. So Eric's flying in. Calman's coming in with he's got that banana bike, the Nitro 44 bike. So God knows what he's got lurking. He'll have 2 cool bikes. He's got to be in contention for the Coker Tire Long Distance Award by now.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's a $100 gift certificate and a couple other cool items from Coker. Thank you. And, I want to thank some of the other guys that, before we get into the show and get Dave on the line, because I appreciate it all. As you look around, again, these are the new mats. How many boxes there? Must be like 24 boxes. I want to thank Dane and Richard. They're going to come over Tuesday night. I put together maybe like 25 of them. These are the mats that each of the participants will receive. In fact, let me grab one. Oh. I'm back to my old ways at dropping beer. These are the mats. So we've got a couple hundred of them to assemble. And every one of you who are participants, either pre-registering or registering online, you'll have a chance to take one of these home. Not only will it be available for your bike, but you get to take it back. It'll have some branding from Joe's Minibike Reunion and Pioneer. And just another way as we try to improve the event. Thank our friends over at Studs. We mentioned them. Go Power Sports, American Flyer. Yep, Go Kart USA. And a few others that have come on board. So we appreciate it. Hey, look, so I was telling you I needed to catch a break because not only is the garage blowing up, like literally, there's not an inch to move. I've got more stuff coming, right? And I bought the little shed out there, but it's full. So at some point, it'll be the 19th of October, and we'll have I'm hoping this is our biggest show ever. I'm hoping that we get close to a couple hundred mini bikes. A couple hundred mini bikes would be great. We've got food trucks. Over the years, I've struggled with food trucks because it was never a big priority for us, but now we have enough people that are there that need to eat, right? So we've got Burnt Ends, La Fiesta, and it's a rib joint and a taco truck. We've got the gal from LA Donuts to take care of our coffee in the morning. We've got
good donuts.
Yeah, I had chocolate with bacon on it. And then when she left, she gave us all the donuts that she made that were still there. I'd be like 500 pounds if she lived near me. Gabby. Thank you, Gabby. So it looks like we'll be covered on that. There were a few other guys that wanted to come out and actually make tacos on site. The problem is that you can't do that. You can't just go cook tacos for a couple hundred people. You have to have licenses and health certificates and all that good shit. So don't be offended, those of you who have reached out asking about that. And like I need other things to worry about besides food trucks showing up in addition to trying to do the show. But it is a priority because we're at that point where we got to feed the machine, literally. So I was looking to catch a break. I was working, traveling, and now it's like, okay, now it's Joe's Minibike Reunion time. We have a busy weekend. Last time we checked, you were working on the forks. Those look nice. You were shooting them. Looks like they're...
Yeah, I got them assembled. I want to put a wheel on it and make the front spacers, axle spacers.
Got it. So you were talking about, it's nice just to have that, just to have the pipe. You just cut it to spec. Boom, boom, boom. I ordered a ton of spacers. It's always good to have spacers around because you never know. Especially as I started to get into these micros. Honestly, there's barely room for spacers there. So you have to have a really small one, which I didn't have. So I bought a dozen of about, 12 part numbers. And typically, whenever I order anything in that volume, I always screw up a couple of the part numbers, and I did. I got spacers that look like they could be little hoop earrings. I don't know what the fuck I'll do with those, but I got a lot of other good ones that matched. I was able to line up, for the most part, the Evan Rubble micro bike with some spacers. I'm going to be bringing that bike out, as well as the custom Temecula Bob micro and another Jake Mo custom bike to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for the big Riyadh Car Festival, which takes place November the 21st through the 26th. And Ed, I've got to ask you one more time. Is there any chance I can get you to go?
To where?
To Saudi Arabia.
Oh, no, I can't go there.
I get a lot of that.
No.
Well, look, I understand. And maybe this show that I go to this year will be such a good show. In fact, E may be coming. That if it is, this is not a one-trick pony. There'll be a return engagement. And I believe there are a contingent of folks that, for whatever reasons, don't have an interest to travel to the Middle East. And we respect that. On that same token, we're going to try to blaze some trails and go out there and represent the mini bike hobby. We'll be there amidst all the big stars in the industry like Chip Foose and Dave Kindig, Emerson Fittipaldi. The list goes on. I'll be there with our friends from Steady Garage, who will be at Joe's Minibike Reunion. And as you know, those guys are legend in that mini moto and that twist and go scene. All the Honda Groms and all the Ruckuses and now the Monkeys and, you know, that segment. My buddy Bing Flores, and give a shout out to all the guys on the Honda Grom Lifestyle. I'll be riding with them tomorrow night. Say a little prayer in advance and get all those guys to come out. And when those Groms and those Ruckuses and those Metros show up at Joe's Minibike Reunion, not only do you feel it from all the, I guess it's like 50 or 60 of them that come at one time, it's the noise, you feel the engines, you smell it. So we're looking forward to having those guys on board as well as my friends at Steady. But we'll all be in Riyadh. The folks from 10, including Roadkill and Hot Rod Magazine and Motor Trend, my buddies Joe Dodato and Eric Schwab, they'll be joining us. It's going to be a good time. And then maybe, Ed, we'll get you back there next year. You turned down a pretty lucrative deal.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I got to work, my dog.
All right.
Take care of Sharon.
I know. A lot of folks were asking about your sister, and I asked you as well. That's a tough thing. You getting through that okay?
Yeah.
Good. All right. So I look in the catch-up break, and I caught one. I reached out to Dave Miller, as I do traditionally, to make sure that he's aware of the event. It's the 19th of October. Dave, would you like to come, sir? Dave, would you like to have some room for your space, for your bikes? Do you need a ride? Any of that stuff. And not only did he pick up the phone, but he said that he had just been talking about us with his folks down at Dave Miller Concepts. They were just finishing up a custom Bonanza chopper for a customer, and they were planning on not only coming out and bringing some bikes, which is always the treat. For those of you who had a chance to see some of the bikes that Dave brought out a few years ago.
Yeah, they were wild.
Yeah, it was like, and it was him. And, watching the people that really knew the depth, like one guy, a couple of guys were asking me through some of the comments on the Facebook page about Dave Miller. And, I didn't want to write a book, but it's like we posted a previous episode, which I think was one of our best ones because of him, not us. And I also posted some photos from what he had brought to the show a few years back, and all of his bikes, every one of his bikes, they're just awesome. And we're going to have Dave on. Dave not only was there to pick up the phone, but was anxious to say he's coming up to the show, and he's working on. Finally, I think he's at that place, because we had talked to him before, if you remember, and it wasn't as if he's not been building bikes, but he's very intimately a part of the whole Bonanza deal, just like you are. And, you went down there and spent some time with Rafa as he gets more involved with that brand. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain thread that you guys have that's unique just to those of you who eat and drink and sleep that. You're so dedicated to that bike and that brand. And it's such a cool brand, whether you talk about the emblem on the front or you talk about that Bonanza blue, right, Ed?
Or the gas tank. Or
any of them, the sissy bars.
The MX seat.
The MX seat. One of those bikes that a lot of those guys forget in the whole BC shuffle. The MXs were some of the cooler models out there. So Dave has found an affinity with the choppers. Mm-hmm. And he shows the, what's that fucking immediate death trap, the 100cc chopper? Yeah, you hit the gas on one of those things. It's too much motor for that bike. But it's the coolest. It's got to be one of the coolest bikes, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
The Kickstarter, the 100cc. So Dave has not only been a part of Bonanza, Nick Herbert mentioned that Dave got screwed. There's a certain sentiment out there that despite his depth of involvement with Bonanza, that something went sideways. Were you aware of any of that?
Yeah, a little bit.
What's the deal? What am I missing? Was it just that he had,
I'd rather not say,
Well,
because
well-
I could be wrong.
sometimes guys get really close to a brand and you feel you're a part of it, yet there's always legalese or some shit happen,
Legalities.
right?
Yeah, I would rather just keep it to myself.
Sure.
'Cause what I heard was through the grapevine.
Like so
and
much.
I don't want to, I don't want to say it and it be wrong.
Sure. There's no reason to perpetuate it, and we'll have him on the show in a matter of minutes anyways. Not really going there as much as people had asked me, well, these frames that he's offering now, Bonanza repops. And my response is better because I couldn't see Dave doing any kind of repop. Not that word's derogatory, but it seemed to minimize what you would expect when Dave Miller makes a Bonanza chopper, right? Are you expecting a little bit more?
Yeah.
So we'll find out what he did. And
They're made a little better than original.
well, just time dictates
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
You learn. There's no denying the coolness of an original bike, and I don't want to minimize that because I have a couple of them. There's one still lurking back there that you helped put that engine together. It's a CR400 with a Kickstarter. I recently parted with one. In fact, it's used on the opening of the intro for the podcast. I sold it to a guy out, a friend of Joe's from Arizona Minibikes back in January. But Dave is the guy. He was one of the, in fact, the first inductees into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame. He's still down there doing his deal. And for him, because he hasn't showed up in a couple years. It's been, a couple years since we've seen him at the event? Maybe.
I don't think he showed up last year.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple, and he's been busy. In fact, I even tried.
Last time he showed up, he brought that little bagger bike.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was cool. In fact, I think I've got some photos of that he's posting. That bagger was for sale. I thought I saw it on everything from eBay to Craigslist to Go Kart USA. It was a pretty high cost of entry, 10 grand. You have to be rich from Texas to buy one of those, right?
Yeah.
You could buy a real bagger.
I couldn't spend 10 grand.
You could buy a real one for 10 grand. Anyways, Dave's going to be on the show, and then we'll continue to use. We've got one more show before the big event, Ed. And I'm seeing a lot more people pre-register, which is cool. Not only from my end, because it's a good gauge for me in terms of the way that the event is growing, but also get a chance to win that little micro bike with Dave. And I'll let him tell you himself, but he's suggesting he's going to be giving away one of those chopper frames. Huh?
That'd be nice.
And then we've got the coup de grace. We've got the F&B short frame roller that
We're
Frank's.
giving away a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I saw Paul Giotto out at the Off-Road Expo. And first thing I said is, hey, Paul, you should have let me know you were coming. You would have saved $20. He goes, what's $20? I love that. So he says, I'm giving you a Predator Hemi motor to give away. So he'll be there. Check Paul out. You know what I like about Paul? He's got some really vintage tacos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, his pricing's pretty strong. Whether you go see him at Max or whether you see him anywhere, he'll have what could be perceived as a kind of a retail price. But he'll tell you, he'll tell you exactly how he came to that price. He buys the right stuff. He knows his shit. It's the right paint. It's the right wheels. It's the right everything. And, he maintains the value, unlike some guys that want a fucking quick $1,000 and will sell what should be a $2,000 mini bike for $500 and fuck everything up, right?
Yeah.
So Paul's going to be out there. Mac's going to be out there. I've got Evan Rubble coming out. We've got F&B will be there. We've got Scleroderma out there. We've got some food trucks out there. Darlene from Honda of Glendale, unfortunately, has a personal celebration that they're going to in their family, and it's a pretty big family. But I'm going over there and picking up a bunch of stuff, I think like 6 or 10 helmets and a bunch of other cool things for the goodie bags. There's a company called Pedal Commander. Pedal Commander. Ed, when you got a fast car and you want to hit on the gas and you want immediate gratification,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got that 1 to 2 second delay before you hit the gas and then you
Right.
and then hits it. Well, Pedal Commander eliminates that. That's exactly how they explain it.
Really?
Yeah, the two cool guys out there, Larry and Joe, they're going to be out there, and they've got some 3-wheel contraption. It's not a mini bike, and it's not a small deal. It's like a $30,000 3-wheel spider or some damn thing. I don't know what it is, but Slingshot. Thank you, E. That's coming out, and they'll have one on display. They just want to be around the mini bikes. They're not there to sell anybody anything, including the pedal commander or a slingshot. They just want to know if they could bring it out. And it's like, yeah, like I know a guy. We can probably get it in. So they're going to come out. Who else is coming out there? I've got Lou locked in for the Dyno. A lot of chatter about the Dyno. They've got to beat Devontae, right? Devontae Carter's our Dyno champ and our People's Choice champ. So Jake Moe's coming strong. I hear Ian. I think Ian's got a chopper.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Corona Irving's working on a couple,
I heard
2 or
his
3
bike
bikes.
running sounds pretty good.
Yeah, he's ready to kick some ass. I told you that we got Eric representing and Kalman representing. We got all the Arizona guys coming out. We got some Northern California guys coming out. Washington guys coming out. A couple guys from Colorado. It's very exciting. I'll be, unfortunately, in fact, I think I gave you the photo, E. Last week, and I was mentioning I needed to catch a break. It seemed like every time I picked up the phone, it was something. And I got a text. I got a text from my brother-in-law, who is always at the event, Jerry. And Jerry's married to Gail, who may even be listening now. Hi, Gay. One of my favorites. Gail has been to the show, and she's always with Linda selling the apparel.
Yeah, right.
I get a text.
Gail.
Yeah, she loves you, Ed. Hi, Gail. They can't come.
Oh.
They can't attend. And it's something that they've got to take care of. It's a little health issue for Jerry, and he's going to get fine, and he'll be back next year. But I lean on him. I lean on Jerry. I lean on Gail. Gail's always there with Linda helping out, so I never have to worry about that. Whenever I need anything done, whether it's putting up a banner or hauling the mats or stuffing the goodie bags or, spotting the guys that are either the concession guys or the toilet drop-off guys, Jerry's always there. And I was so used to that, and not having him is tough, but we'll see him next year. So, Jerry, you get better. Gail, we'll see you next time. Let's get Dave Miller on the line. And those of you who are listening in, thank you. Justin Bett, what's happening? Randy, Steve Capito. Steve's always going to be bringing out some cool things. James Griffith, what's happening to you? Kyle Moody, Mike
Kyle,
Champagne.
what's up?
Who else out there? Ed, there's a ton of them on there.
David Darnell, Egan,
Yep.
Calvin Cressy,
Cal will be out there. Who's it?
Victor Reyes.
All right, so let's get Dave Miller on the line, and Dave is going to be like our rock star celebrity appear at the show. So I'm pretty jazzed.
Hello.
Hey, Dave, it's Joe and Ed from Joe's Minibike Reunion. Can you hear us?
Hello, Minibike Nation.
What's up, Dave?
Yes. Hey, Ed, how's it?
All right, not bad.
Blow anything up today?
No, except for my
Then you're not-
knees. My knees,
then-
maybe.
Then you're not making enough power. Get back to work on it.
Dave, I was mentioning how nice it was to not only have had the chance to talk to you this week, but I was telling everybody I needed to catch a break in the midst of the event happening on the 19th. Everything, I couldn't find a food truck. My right-hand man wasn't able to join me. I got more stuff for the event than I have room for in this garage. It's busting at the seams. I've been trying to do work. And then I talked to you, and not only was I able to speak to you, but I was able to find out that you're planning on coming to the event, and then everything was good. Thank you.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment, but you're just a good guy and a good problem solver, so you'll make it happen.
So I shared some of the photos that you sent to me with the chopper frames that you're
Right.
and boy, the Facebook response was overwhelming. Most of the predictable inquiries were, wow, how do I get one? How much are these? Where do I order? Who is this guy? And then and so the responses were everyone not only recognizing who you were, but looking forward to seeing you. Tell everybody about what you've got going on there and give them an idea of maybe what they can expect to see when they see you at the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Well, it sounds like I got work going on now. I guess I'm going to have to get out of the jacuzzi and get back on the welder. The Hot Rod Mini Bike Factory is our new trademark deal that we're going to do all the mini bike stuff under, all the restoration parts and all new whack job offerings. So that site will be up and running sometime after the first of the year, and it's going to be pretty cool, pretty informative, and have a lot of customer input and builds and all that stuff. We're hoping to get that all good and then just keep abreast of what we're doing. But what we got right now is we've been threatening to do this for a long time, and we just finally pulled the trigger on it. Is made a really nice facsimile of the Bonanza Scout model choppers, the CR400 or 42500 jack shaft model that takes virtually any engine with the motor bay up to the 390 big block things, and all that will fit in it if you want to go that way. We've always sold the fork and sissy bar and all those parts in the seat and the other hard parts for the thing. So now you'll be able to get it as a sort of a build as you go deal. And if you want to hunt down original wheels and motor and make it like stock, it's really hard to tell that it's not a correct original piece. And or if you want to totally hot rod it, man, the sky's the limit.
Dave, the model that was pictured, that's more of the CR500 version.
Yeah.
Yes. And for those of you, in fact, there's a lot of Bonanza folks out there. I couldn't be either sitting next to or talking to two of the guys that are so much a part of that brand. The CR400 was the 4 horsepower. In fact, there's one lurking back there, Dave, I'll be bringing out to the show. I was mentioning to Ed, and not just because you're on or I've got a couple of them, I always thought that Bonanza chopper, whether it was the 400 or the 500,
right,
it had to be the coolest mini bike that I was, out of all the ones I've seen, that was the one that for the most part just got me. How about you?
Bonanza, for people that, I got to, live in that factory for, a few weeks at a time for a couple summers because I raced their stuff and helped them develop stuff as a kid in my teens. But, those guys just didn't miss. The Mike Ferran guy had a great eye for style on the frame shapes and accessorizing and seat shapes and all that, and it carried through to the chopper. The chopper thing is the home run. Everybody loves those things. You don't even have to like choppers, and they love those chopper mini bikes. Everyone's like, that is cool. Does that really work? I mean, did somebody make these? They're interested in them. People that don't even know nothing about them. Yeah, I dig them.
Hey, we were also talking, Dave, about what appears to be a little bit of a blip in the mini bike scene with these micro mini bikes. We have one that we're giving away to folks that pre-register to have their bike out at the show from guy Evan Rubble from RCF. Have you absorbed this whole micro mini bike scene out there, and what's your take on it?
Scale, like the 2/3 scale stuff?
Yeah, that'd be about right. Ed, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, my whack
like
job toy buddy.
Ed said it may be closer to a 1/3, Dave.
Yeah, right. It's like roller skates. You need two of them to ride it.
Yeah.
You could get in one of those Predator 79cc engines. It sits just about right in there, but there's not a lot of room. But
oh wow! And like 4-inch wheels, 4-inch rims. Is that what they're using?
That's what I just bought. Like
Can
about
they make 3-inch?
They do. It comes on Miller. 140 welders.
Yeah, I actually thought I was putting on the tire. It was actually the wheel bearing from a 6-inch wheel. But what's your take on these little small bikes, Dave?
Well, people dig scale stuff. I mean, that's just how it is. My toy Nazi buddy Casey got that I don't know what it is. I would say probably about a 5/16 scale Taco mini bike that was done really clean. I think the guys out there in Menifee or whatever, that guy who was building the Taco looking splashes, made it. And we actually built a sidecar for it. In fact, I think he might bring it. We made a sheet metal sidecar that's, very, Jules Verne looking, all ornate, big pie slices and copper rivets and stuff, and a big fin on the back of it for no particular reason. But that thing is neat, that little mini bike. It's like perfectly to scale.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head too. People are interested in that micro look, and we're going to have a few of those out there. The chopper class, going back to that, interestingly enough, there weren't a lot of choppers necessarily, at Joe's Minibike Reunion traditionally, but there seems to be an up interest in the choppers as well.
I think, in the next few years, especially at your deal, that's what you will see the biggest growth in. I really do. I just, so especially, I'm sure other people make the stuff available, but now the response has been overwhelming in just a short time. No way you're making these real. I can get one now. The people are tired of hunting down. There's two kind of builders. There's the guy that want the 100-point absolute, was made in the 60s and they got proof and, went to every swap meet for 15 years. That's awesome. I built a lot of stuff for guys like that. We built a lot of those parts. But then there's the other guys that are just like, my theory on hot rodding, the term means there is no wrong way. So, you get the main frame and now you got beautiful base that you can put candy paint, chrome it, anything, because you don't got to work on the metal. It's absolutely ready to go. Everything's straight, all the bolts fit, the wheels line up and all that. So now you can choose your wheels, choose your power plant, and make a purple metal flake tuck and roll seat, whatever, So I really think that you're going to see some real personalized, projects in the next few years based on the chopper thing.
You have had the not only reputation, but the ability at any time over the years to just flick the switch and be open and make frames available. What
it's called the disease. It's not reputation or anything else. It's just a disease, Joe.
Well, hopefully you've got the cure for it, because everybody's asking, Dave, when can I buy one? Where can I buy one? How much are they? Those types of things. How would you respond to some of those inquiries that we received recently on the Facebook post?
Well, the chopper thing, I got most of the stuff listed while it lasts. I got to put it on, every couple of days. Again, it seems like the stuff's going one or two a day. The frames, $549 for the main frame section. It's with the full chrome, all the fork parts, which is really a labor of love to get those things, the chrome and everything. The way we have to build the fork, people are like, the fork's almost as much as the frame, but what you got to understand, all our stuff's mandrel bent. It's all DOM. All the plates and everything are laser cut. Then we send those things out to polish, get them fully polished. It looks like it's chrome. Carefully put it in the welding fixture. Carefully weld it. Take it back to the plater, and then it's plated. That's why the chrome around the tubes and on the triple clamps and all that's like a mirror. You can't take that fork and get it ready for chrome once it's built. So just to let people know, that's why that chrome stuff we make is pretty pricey. But I have yet to have anybody not just jaw drop when they got it in their hand finally, So that being said, the fork's like $295. The sissy bar complete assembly, I've just got the springs out of wide now, so with the upper lowers plated right and all that, that's about a $325 deal for that whole mess. $250 for the seat, which is our thick fiberglass base, just like the original. Correct heat seal, just like the original. Beading, 21 pleats, goes over the back, just like the original. Correct grommets for the bolts that go through. Nickel finish, not gold ones, not made out of a bolt, not, it's if you don't like it, I'll buy it back, because somebody else will take it. That's as good as I can do it, and we're pretty good.
Without a doubt. And, I was actually finding myself, Dave, maybe even inappropriately defending some of the comments where someone said, oh, that's a Bonanza repop. And it's like, no, better. My reaction was no better. Tell those folks how different it is to be described as a repop rather than what you're doing with these.
I take offense on a lot of levels on the repop thing because, I was in that factory, so I have direct ties. First of all, I was contracted to them to develop some of their products. So for me, that doesn't mean that it's not like my Porcupine CR125 heads or my Flipper famous exhaust pipes or none of that stuff. When we offer that stuff for the vintage motocross guys and they say repop, I tell them, I take offense to that. What it is a reissue. Same guy, same design by me, same part made by me, offered again, So, of course, I didn't design or build the original, Scout line products or any of that. But, I know the owner. I know the designer. I still see those guys all the time, and if anybody's got their blessing to do what I'm doing, it's me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, very well put.
I sort of feel like that, as close to factory as it can be without coming out of San Jose on First Street. You know,
I think there's a certain cachet, candidly, with having yours in comparison to even having a stock original one. A guy like me would love to have both.
We have to theme weld and stuff because our stuff fits better. We have modern welders. We can accidentally do way cleaner welds, so we got to watch that. You know what I mean? It's we got to sort of, rub some what your wife do on your honeymoon in Florida. She put suntan lotion on your goggles, so when you're looking at all the hottie chicks, you can't see them. It's sort of that thing. We go, we're making some junk old Greaves replica pipes or something, and we start daydreaming, and all of a sudden we got this row of dimes going, and we got to go back over it with the gas torch turned backwards.
Yeah,
that's too good.
There was a time where when you would hear that Schwinn was bringing back the fastback, or
right.
God, we even see it today in the automotive where they're bringing back the Demon, and it's like they never really do come close to the spirit of the vintage, but in their own way, they're so much better,
Yeah.
So I love either one of them. You made a point earlier about those folks that are really into the hardcore original vintage choppers, and I get that. But there's also some big advantages. What's common in the automotive world now, Dave, is that you keep that modern drivetrain and you just stick the old Duster A-body on top of a new chassis and a new Hemi Dodge. So there's that old look with all the advantages of the new part and technology.
The advantages, like you say, I got my rich buddies are going, hey, I got a 53 Chevy 5-window out of a field in Idaho that's raindrop rusted. It's got bullet holes. I don't want to do nothing but lift that off and set it on my Escalade rolling platform, right? That's the new deal, right? This thing that goes down the road, whisper quiet, 5,000 miles an hour with air conditioning and Wayne Newton playing with no wind noise. But it looks like a 53 Chevy 5-window, So, that's kind of the crossover thing. And that's why there's Predator engines, and that's why there's sealed bearings, and that's why there's, O-ring chains and all. Like I said, it's the hot rodding thing, man. Build it how you want it. I'm glad guys are hardcore out there and want the exact style chain. That's great. We have all these bitchin' museum pieces. I have some,
Sure.
I've done that stuff, and that's neat. That is where it came from. But we have evolution now, right? I mean, without breast augmentation, where would we really be as a human race? You know what I mean?
Well, we'd all be looking at fiberglass clutch covers for Bonanza choppers, at least.
Yeah, we'd all think that our 50-year-old neighbor had 2 tubes of toothpaste under her shirt, or under my art.
Hey, Dave, I wondered about this too. I've seen, like many have, your posts on eBay with the front forks and some of the other chrome items that seem to be the ones that I hear about the most are the elusive clutch cover and the correct St. Bernard gas tank for these choppers. How do you fill those requests? Are those also?
We have those. We have actually. I don't think I have any tanks listed on there right now, but I do have the big flying fin chain cover. I think that's on there right now. We just made another pile of those. And because we got some projects that needed them, so we try to, everybody says, you're the king of one. I said, well, I used to be, now I'm the king of 3. So we usually have at least, if we need one and we build 3, 2's usually sold before we get them all done. And then as soon as the third one hits the table, that's gone. So we're usually out of them. But, we build that stuff quick on demand.
So here's a question for you. I'm going to assume a couple things here. In fact, I'll assume 3 things. I'll assume that you prefer the Hidaka 100 and the HS 500 and the HS 400 in these choppers. Are you a traditionalist where you want to stay with that Tecumseh style engine? Or
well, I like the look of a flathead motor. My Paul Deshane, who won an award with you guys,
yes, he did.
A few things ago, has a cool ass, 5-horse Briggs with all the gem stuff, with the Del Ordo and the fin gem head and the big split pipe, and Kickstarter. That stuff's neat, and it's flathead, and that's big block. That 5. That I get the Predator thing, and I like that, and I like the technology, and you can turn it higher, and it does all this, and it does all that, and you can really, anything you do to it makes it faster. It seems like, just leave the key out of the flywheel and guess, and it goes faster. But big carburetor, big exhaust pipe, whatever. So that's neat, because what you want is participation, right? Especially in the seat you sit in.
Yep.
You want participation. If you got a hunt down, I just did it. A HS40, do a valve job, replate the board, get a correct piston and rings and all this for this $1 million build. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's pricey and tough to find them.
Yeah. Yep. And not a lot of people know how to do that right.
Yeah.
If they can even get the parts.
Or like me, easy to take apart, putting them back together. Yeah. So what do you do then? Because like right now, as we think about it, seems like every time one would pop up, it's almost like buy one. There was an HS400 new on Craigslist. It was a 1-inch shaft though.
Oh, 1-inch.
Yeah. So I'm starting to think about it. I've got a few of them lurking around here, but I guess what I'm getting at is not only are those things really the ones you would like to keep in those style choppers, but getting your hands on one and finding one, it would almost be like grab it, right?
It's unfortunate that somebody hasn't Chinesed a flathead, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A 5 Briggs or a Fat 5 Tecumseh or something,
Well,
but
there you go.
Because of the packaging, because it's got to be a cube, right? It's got to have it's got to be 12 inches by 12 by 12 by 12,
right,
with the gas tank, the big muffler, the air cleaner, and all that on it, so it can drop in a generator, in a rototiller, in
it's
a lawnmower.
Primary use, sure. Yeah.
It's purpose built for everything under the sun.
Hey, have you
You can stand them up. Guys stand those things up in bicycles. I don't know how they make them oil, but I seen them go a long time really fast and not lock up. So guys stand them upright and just take all the shrouding off. Then it's like a motorcycle. It just flows through the fins.
Have you worked on or created anything that you're particularly excited about since we've last seen you at the show?
Yeah, a couple things along the Hot Rod Minibike Factory thing. I got this new, and we're gonna try and bring it on our shop bike, which is totally made out of junk, but it's got some real F1 parts hidden in there.
Wow.
Test pieces. Yeah, it's got 100 Yamaha twin in it. That's because we're gonna, when we get to run them, it's got open stingers, and everybody will turn their head when this thing ours up on the stand. It's just
can't wait for that
noise and smoke. Yeah, really cool. But I got a whole new fork assembly I've been working on. That's really cool. And then some rear shock packages. Because I'm trying to come up with something that I don't have to have my $1 million billet motocross guy shrink a shock down for me for $800 a set. That actually works.
Yes.
So we've come up with some stuff on that we've disguised pretty good and having good results with. That's all good. And then I have the AFX bike that it's shown on the Go-Karts USA thing, but they have not really made a move on it. That's really tricked my full-on racing, what I wanted for adult, pull string wheel racing bikes.
Talk a little bit about that one, Dave.
That one's been sitting covered up with a World Formula Briggs in it, electric start, the manual clutch, that 3D clutch that I modified and got that thing working so good. And
how do you like that, Dave? How do you like that manual clutch?
Because it's like, I race speedway bikes and for a while, and it's just like a speedway clutch. That thing is awesome. And here's why you got to have it for a race mini bike, and Ed will know what I'm talking about. When you decel into a turn and you're jumping on the brake to lay it in and line up with everybody, slide it in, and that centrifugal clutch frees up, what happens? Dominoes. It just gets evil. It unhooks, and this other one, it drags the motor all the way down. So you have that decel on the wheel, so you can actually slide it in. I can whip this thing just like a good motorcycle in my alley. This thing rips. 20 horsepower, electric start. Thing is so cool. And these ones I made look a lot like a Bonanza Mini Cross. The frame I designed, the high pivot and all that for those guys, has pit bike forks, has 8-inch wheels, and it's just really trick. Has all the body work, which they now make in like 20 colors of plastic, including the gas tank.
Are those ready to go? Are those just teasers right now up there with?
Well, they're in different states of, I'm not sure what they're doing up there at go-karts right now. They don't have all the wheel packages. They just haven't organized everything. Let's put it that way, because a lot of stuff that I was helping them with, I've passed the tooling off to them. So, I'm trying to been pushing them to get some of the stuff going on their own so they can control it, know what it really takes and all that. And, it's taken them a little longer than we'd all hoped to, but they're slowly getting it model by model up online. So,
we've had the folks from Go-Karts USA particularly have had possession of a couple of their American Flyer models. Ed has one. I started one, and it's actually in phase 2 with Jake Moe, who is taking it a couple steps further. I like some of the similarities that were very obvious to the Bonanza. There were a few things that looked like they may have been either welded by me or maybe, it looked as if it looked like it started a good race. And I don't know if it's because I got some of the early versions, but it looked like there was a lot of promise there. And at the price, considering all the parts that came with it, granted, you would probably want to upgrade or replace some of the items within the kit to suit your own preference, but it was priced really well. It looked really good. It was a full-side big boys bike, and those are growing in popularity. Guys are sticking 8-inch wheels on those things. Rafa had a similar style bike that he's riding up at the AV, and for an all-around bike, that was a hell of a kit, that American Flyer.
Yeah, I think that's a good base thing, and we grew the handlebars and the foot peg placement and the motor bay from bottom rail to where you sit for longer leg guys, bigger motors. We designed all that into it with that in mind, knowing that, we all said, oh, these are so neat, whatever. Then we put one together and write it down and I go, this is the most scary, retarded thing I've ever had in my life. No way we rode these fast, And so we've sort of changed front rake and trail, worked our way through something that would be more of a, a user-friendly deal when it was all said and done.
Dave, the model that we had was mated with the torque converter rather than the clutch setup, and it still had, what is that, like a 2-degree angle engine mount?
Yeah, I think those are like 5s.
Oh, okay.
Welded in,
What's the deal with those 5-degree styled engine mounts, and is there a time when those are either necessary or mandatory? How much of that is functional versus aesthetics?
Well, if you're it's designed so you can use the very clutch, the converter, and to get that big wheel in the back off the ground, you're not dragging on the frame.
Got it.
That's what has to happen. They had a deal. They were actually selling go-karts that was a big wedge plate that came with your converter kit. It went under the motor, and it just tilted the motor, this big old slice of cheese. It was nutty. I got some laying in my shop. We use them to hold stuff in place, But I thought, well, that's a good problem-solving deal. But then, I told Alec, I can cure this in the thing. And also, for any of the motors tilting it, that was a secret that, like, the Rupp, Black Widows and stuff used to get the splasher out of the oil sooner so it would rev higher.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
That's not a new design for racing. They've been tilt motors for a long time that are splash fed just so it doesn't,
that was it.
Drag through the oil.
Yep, that was it, Dave, I think.
Yeah.
A couple things, and I'll let you go. First of all, thanks again, Dave. Not only is it great to hear from you, but I love the fact that you are offering opportunities for folks to get their hands on some of these cool chopper frames. We talked a little bit earlier this week, and you hinted at maybe the possibility of having one of these, would it be just we'd be appreciative just to see you, but if there was an opportunity, we'd maybe consider one of those main frames, at least as a giveaway for one of the participants. That would be awesome.
We're try and get you fixed, and unless the place caves in between now and then. I think we're pretty good on that. And we're scheming on kind of a special packaging thing, so it's kind of we're going to do it off the first one officially out of the jig. So
wow.
That's the other kind of cool thing that is day one, the first blast. So yeah, we're going to make something so it's Joe's Minibike Reunion memorable.
Thank you, Dave.
They'll go, you got that one?
Well, hopefully, in fact, I think we're onto something like that. And having anything from you, especially something that could be kind of a one-off, we've all enjoyed a little bit of excitement way beyond our expectations when we first started this. We still joke about the fact that the first year we had more signs than mini bikes, and now we've got folks coming from all over. We've got folks anxious to meet guys like you, and even Evil Ed and everybody. So this is a big up for us to have you a part of it. Do you have anything you think you may want to stick on the dyno while you're coming out? May want to think about that. It sure be cool.
Yeah, somebody was asking me about that. I was trying to think what, that's what I wanted to talk to you about real quick. I was looking through something and I saw that F&B mini bike guys, the drag guys.
Yes. Brian and Frank Friquez.
Yeah, that stuff is nice. That and that pro, the top pro one, which is copied like off a Koshman NHRA thing, shrunk down with the ATV slick and all that on it. That is pretty cool. I still think we need to, we talked about this once before, having a deal, the run for the ton, 8th mile, first guy to 100 is the king, There is no denying, Dave, that is the straw that could really get this hobby to the next gear. I'm even at a place where I've got a track. I've been through Roadkill the last handful of years. We've become really good friends with Jim, the owner of the Tucson Dragway, which is not too far from here. It's in Arizona. Yeah.
Not only does he have a great attitude, which is he can do whatever he'd like. He has insurance. He has a facility that is perfectly suited. He invites camping. There's a tiki bar or 10. There's a grill. There's a bonfire. And he would work us into or think about even our own separate event where we would be able to race. We'd be able to also ride. For those folks who didn't want to go down the drag strip, they could ride. We could turn it into a little swap deal. So I've got a venue. I didn't want to go deep single-handedly and risk things that go with it, financial.
Sure.
So I'm willing to be a partner and a promoter in any capacity to make that happen. And yes, we have talked about that before. Everybody's talking about it. It's just a matter of who's going to do it.
Well, I think the audience is crazy. You got the Michigan guys and the Florida guys. I mean, you go online and you look at how many guys are doing that stuff. Of course, you'd have to introduce some of those boys to helmet safety wire if they're going to ride next to me at over 90 miles an hour. But, we can figure that out as we go. But, I think it could grow into like, the bug-in or something, like the Volkswagen thing.
Oh, we can. And you know what it would need?
3-day deal with people from all over the world with, CB750s and their free holy, trying to go 100.
Yeah, the fodder for social media, the fodder for TV, the fodder for the viral captures, not to mention the thing that matters the most to me and is the sole reason why we continue to do the podcast and the event, it's to get everybody who's into these mini bikes together.
Right.
Again, and I'll leave you with this. Thank you for not only being a part of what we're doing here with the event and the podcast, but showing up so folks can meet you. Many of them are anxious to. Bring whatever you have available to showcase or sell. I'm sure there's some folks that will want to find out if they can buy on site or put an order in on site. Whatever you need, Dave, we'll look forward to accommodating you there. Now, I understand that you may have a Bonanza bike that you just finished up for a customer.
Yeah, I got a guy that can't make it, a doctor in Arizona that goes, man, I really want it. He's got some polo tournament or something in France, so and his plane's already gassed. So, but I'm gonna bring that. I would never enter anything like as mine. I just feel that's
yeah, I hear you.
Stepping over the boundary,
sure.
That's for everybody. That's why we do it. That's why we sell parts so people can have fun and do all this. I'd consider myself, I don't know in what class, but these are garage guys and stuff doing their best. I'm really proud of their stuff. And, for Ford Motor Company to roll in there and throw GT40s all over the place in 10 colors is not that fair,
Yeah, we see a lot of that at SEMA, and it's the same way that you described. Those guys that have the corporate and funding as well as the access to many of the things that the average Joe doesn't have.
Well, they got teams. Man.
Yeah.
We're talking teams, not father and daughter got a kid online and a spray can and thing looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking engineering staff and, catering truck and dancing girls.
They got people.
Yeah.
Yeah, those bikes are display vehicles and I call feature bikes. And then we have the participant bikes. But if you've built and helped a customer, and that customer now has a Dave Miller bike and he wants to enter it into the competition, we love that. And we invite those. Right. In fact, and this I will part with, our judges, Dave, are some of the coolest, not only genuinely passionate guys that I've been able to meet over this last decade or so, but they're also good friends who build nice bikes. They run into an awkward situation where they don't even want to have their bikes entered because although they are...
Just have one question. Can they be bought? I mean, what do they like to drink? Where do they live? That sort of thing.
Well, as you know, none of our guys drink or do anything like that, so that'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Hey, exactly. Dave, before I let you go, do you want to give any mentions or shout-outs to anybody that's been helping you a little bit beyond the call of duty of late?
Oh, God, I just, every nut job that, puts up with me in my shop and, waits too long to get their stuff and, then we ride it in the alley and all laugh about it. But, the pleasure's been all mine, yakking with you guys as usual, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there.
Ed, got anything for Dave before we let him go?
Nah, I'll see you at the show, Joe. I mean, Joe. Okay. Dave. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'll see you, Dave. Yeah, maybe I might have to get one of them chopper frames.
That's pretty cool, aren't they?
Yeah, another project, man. You start a whole new customer deal.
Just close your eyes for a second and think of Evil Ed blowing down. I don't know.
Putting a two-stroke at Power Products age 58 or something.
There you go.
Ed's been buying every Power Product engine that he can find online for the last month or two.
Evil Ed with the Easy Rider helmet. I'm seeing it now. I'm already seeing it.
The bearded,
the blue helmet. Yeah, that beard flying behind him. Awesome.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing both of you legends at Joe's Minibike Reunion on October the 19th. Dave Miller, everybody. Dave, thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Okay, you guys take care.
All right.
Bye.
Well, that was pretty cool, huh? For those of you,
everything was cool except for when I called him Joe.
Oh, that's good.
By accident.
or were you Minibike Mike or Evil Mike over at Barris? It happens.
Barris.
Sure. Yeah, there's just something about him.
He's a cool guy. I like him.
Well, here's the thing.
Earth guy.
The taco brand is as iconic, maybe even more iconic than Bonanza, depending on who you talk to. And there was a time where it seemed as if you could buy these bikes again. And they were available, and it got everybody excited. And I think to a degree that pipeline wasn't filled, so it kind of bummed a few folks out, because when you see these frames that we've shown photographs of, and you hear the guy, and you're going to see him, and he's got them, and you can actually buy them, that's the win. Just talking about having them and having a website and a shiny brochure,
right?
You've got to have the bikes, and you would like them. You know what I never got to is, and I've written down the way he's got them priced. And you know what? That's pretty fair. A lot of guys don't sell.
Say you buy a used frame.
Yeah.
So, okay, he's getting $549 for one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
good memory.
So you get one, trashed one or whatever. You sandblast it. Then you got to check for welds, see if they're okay.
There's always a crack.
There's always a crack. Then you got to get a welder. You got to do this. Got to buy primer, which is not cheap.
Right.
Automotive paint's going up. This one here, if you just buy it and it's ready to go, paint it or powder coat it or whatever you want to do. There's no fixing of anything.
Plus, as he said, the ability with the modern technology where, the welds are tighter. The construction.
Everything's welded better.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like maybe a lot of money, but it's not.
No.
The time you put money in your old frame, you could probably have more than that in the old frame than if you would have just bought one of his and powder coated.
And that's the thing too. It's like it's one thing to find a used CR400.
It's like the sissy bars.
Yep.
You get a sissy bar. It needs rechroming.
Without a doubt.
The springs are probably shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you have to go through everything.
You could buy one of his,
and bolt it on.
Way less than what you have to put into your sissy bar and spring and the holders.
If you have been in search of or would like to have for your collection a Bonanza style chopper, I would bring I don't know when you do the math. The math's got to be $1,500, right? When you add the tank or the clutch guard, you know. So bring some cash. It's $100 a month for a year, you know. And you'd end up with,
I've got thousands of dollars in bikes that are still apart.
Yeah, you could. And how cool this thing would be to bring home. Could you imagine putting the axle bolts through and that collar bolt to the frame and to the neck? I mean, and getting your wheels on there. Badass. I would have jumped in, and traditionally I would open my big mouth and tell them I'll take one, bring one. I can't fucking move over here, right? Hey, we're going to take a quick timeout. We're going to come back. I don't know what the Dodgers score is. I know that there was a little upset today with Major League playoffs. Atlanta lost to St. Louis. Yankees start tomorrow against Minnesota. Dodgers play again tomorrow night. I know it's just baseball. Yankees.
Rams are playing tonight.
Rams, no, the Rams doing. Oh, yeah, a couple things. New black camo caps. I wore one at the Off-Road Expo. People were digging them. It's starting to get those burr months. October, November, September, December. Got beanies. These are actually fit an adult head. The earlier ones from a couple years ago will squeeze whatever brains you have out of your ass. They were so tight. So, and then finally, I want to give a shout out to Eric, the Gray Goat.
Eric.
He was a great.
He had a podcast tonight.
Yes, and I don't think we stepped on each other. And
No.
we typically aren't on the same time.
No, he's earlier.
I did not have a chance, Ed. If you could, what's that say?
Oh, this is that nonprofit organization that he runs in Panama.
What is it? What's it say?
It says Give and Surf Nonprofit.
Bocas del Toro.
Not Taco. Toro, Panama.
That's what I thought it was. So you heard Eric mention briefly his plans on eventually retiring there, but this Give and Surf. I like that. Nonprofit. This is something that's important to him. For more information, you could check Eric out. In fact, I saw he registered one of his bikes today.
Pre-registered?
Yes, he did. And for those of you who continue to pre-register, see, now it's starting to happen. Again, it's still good odds because we're still a little bit under 100 on pre-reg, but getting close to that number. But even that odds 1 in 150, or by the time we're done with pre-registration, maybe we'll be up to a little bit over 100. That's pretty good odds to take home one of those RCF micros. Again, we've got the short frame roller from F&B. Dave's going to be giving away, just to clarify, it's the main frame. It's the big bull chest. It's not the fork. It's not the sissy bar. It's not all the other stuff. Just the main frame. It's the one modeled after the CR500. And you're going to love it. Did he say it would be the first one coming out of the jig?
That's what he said.
Pretty fucking cool. He'll autograph it, right?
I don't know if he'll autograph it, but...
You ask him, he'll autograph it. Would you ask him?
Yeah.
All right, good. That's it. We'll be back in, we'll take 5 minutes and see you guys in a second. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion. Ed, did we catch the season episode deal? What is it?
Season 4, episode 11.
Wow. We almost got through another season. We're going to try to squeeze one more episode in before the big show on October the 19th. That's the 8th annual Joe's Minibike Reunion, presented by Pioneer Car Audio. Linda, did the Dodgers score a couple more runs? Looks like it. So for you Dodger fans out there, looks like you're doing pretty good. Hey, that was a pretty much expected. A cool interview from
Dave.
From Dave. What'd you call him, Joe?
I call him Joe.
Big dummy. Yeah, there's a few guys.
I was thinking about Joe's Minibike Reunion. And
I know. Plus, you got the Joe stuff everywhere. I know. Well, it's been a long day, too. Well, we've got what appears to be another giveaway. This one, the mainframe, sounds like it's the first one from Dave Miller, DMC, which is Dave Miller Concepts. And I'm encouraging everybody to be a part of the show. You know, I went online recently. I posted in Craigslist where, they got for sale for the mini bikes where you live. And I posted essentially the flyer. I promote a mini bike corral. For those of you who have a bike that you just want to flip, you don't have to enter it. You can just, I think it's like $15 and you put it in a corral. And people will be looking for bikes. So for those of you who may be looking to clear out a shed, in addition to bringing a couple bikes that you want to have be a part of the judging, there's also a corral. There's going to be some good swap meet guys there. I mentioned Paul, Giotto, Mac will be there. Hell, just Mac being there alone. I had a guy call me today on the phone number that's on the Facebook page. And I knew it was going to be a long one. And at this point, I don't have as much time as I would typically take. I usually want them to either go to the website where most of the questions they have are answered, or I want to stop as quickly as I could the guy's life story that you're going to get. And this was a gentleman who had a Barris Superstalker, a retired fireman, and he was looking for an HS 400. And just
40,
HS 40, sorry about that. Yes, 40. And he was calling to talk to Joe because he wanted to know if Joe knew where he can get one. And I said Joe's not there, and that he had to do what we all do, right? Which is, it's a Craigslist shuffle and eBay and OfferUp and swap
OMB,
meets.
a lot of guys sell them on OMB
forums.
Minibikes.com.
There's pages just for Tecumsehs. There's pages for vintage mini bike, whatever, strictly vintage.
I saw one guy on OMB selling it, no picture. He said the pictures wouldn't load, but it said a HS40 with a Kickstarter for $200.
Wow. Kickstarter alone would be more than that, depending on which one, right?
But he had no pictures, but he said he could email you pictures.
Yeah, and I get that. I think some of the guys that have some of these older style engines are older, and they may not be as digitally savvy, where they're uploading photos for that matter. Shit, I remember when I tried to upload photos to OMB the first time. I'm still trying to do that. So I get that part too. But I guess what I'm getting at is that, guys, it's happening. What it used to do, with cars, finding old Camaros and Mustangs and Cudas and Challengers, there was a time where they were available. Then they were not available. And when they were, you paid handsomely. So those of you seeking HS40s or HS50s, especially the fat ones, if you see them, buy them. They're out there, but they're not like they were before. And as I look around, I think just like we're collecting bikes, you got to have a couple of the iconic engines. You got to have
another engine tomorrow.
What are you getting?
Well, I bought one, Power Products H81.
Where'd you find that?
I bought it on eBay, and I sent it to my friend Bobby Muha.
Yeah. That should be your ship to address now when you buy these bikes or these engines, just ship right to him.
And I'm going to put it in my Bonanza go-kart.
Oh, good. How's that coming along?
I put a Briggs 5-horse on it, but I wanted a 2-stroke in it. So
is the 5-horse it just takes a while to get to that.
No, it was a pretty.
Was it pretty
stout
peppy?
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one we were going to put in the Powell.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I took that out. It's supposed to be at my work tomorrow. UPS is delivering it.
Nice.
Let's see if we'll throw it in the Bonanza cart and maybe take the cart out there to the show.
Oh, that would be cool. I remember last cart I had out there was Chip Foose's cart a long time ago. I remember.
Takes a lot of room in the truck, though. If I can
Takes all of it.
maybe take a go-kart and one mini bike instead of 2 or 3 mini bikes.
Yeah, you figure it out. Whatever you bring, be good. Everybody would like to see it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to having Guardrail Dave and Minibike Paul join us as they celebrate their induction into the Joe's Minibike Reunion Hall of Fame. We got some cool awards for them and some signage just came in. Picking up the trophies this week. Looks like we've got Clarence Barnes. Again, we mentioned Clarence earlier. I think he's hosting the Engine Masters, which is the kind of the Dyno challenge for engine builders that takes place annually with Engine Masters. I think David Freiberger is still a part of that. That's always a cool event. So Clarence will be with us. We have a few more announcements to make leading up to the show. So if you're active with the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion, there were some folks inquiring about hotels. I've pinned a prior post up there about hotels that I would suggest. Many of you, especially Joe Petralia and some of the guys from Arizona, got a variety of hotels that those guys will be hanging out at. There's some folks that I'll be staying at the Pasadena Hilton. I think it was like $133 a night at the time, which wasn't that bad of a deal. And there's also the La Crescenta Bates La Crescenta Hotel, which is right down the street from this podcast. It's on Foothill Boulevard. And it is a motel, okay? Look the term up. But if you're looking for close and cheap, that may be the place for you. If not, if you got tons of money like Eric Shingles, you'll be staying at the Westin or the Hilton. However you get here, wherever you stay, it doesn't matter. Just glad that you're going to be a big part of it. I'm getting excited, Ed. I brought in some, behind all those boxes of mats, it's all the apparel. And I did not buy as much of apparel as I typically do. And you're going to hear the word sold out a lot because I'm tired of buying more stuff than I sell. So, at the risk of sounding like a shill, if you want a hat, and these are some cool hats, or if you want a beanie or a hoodie, I didn't buy a ton. Come up and buy it. We are not offering the $5 off coupons because at this point, we had to remind you that there was even a $5 coupon in your goodie bag. So it was ridiculous. We price things, we don't make any money on this shit, believe me. In fact, we probably lose money on it. It's just to promote the brand. So the $20 or $25, whatever the hell it is for a t-shirt, Ed'll sign it for you. That'll make it go up an extra $50, right? But if you'd like something, come to the trailer quick and get it. And we've got some cool giveaways for the kids. It's free to spectators, so invite your friends to come out. And if you are a participant, have your friends come. Because, in fact, it's right behind you, Ed. Can you grab it? It's pretty heavy.
Oh, this.
Yeah. Everybody's got awards, and that coveted People's Choice Award, it's going to be there for you, and it's by the applause. So if you have friends, This is Cliff Judd made this for us. Cliff wanted this to go to a Hall of Famer, but we always have 2 Hall of Famers. So
it's heavy.
Yeah, we're going to make this the People's Choice Award. And just like the Stanley Cup, you'll have possession of this for a year, and then you will present that to next year's People's Choice winner, and you'll have another replacement trophy that you'll use. But this was way too cool. And I want to thank Cliff Judd, as well as all the other judges that are going to be joining us at this Joe's Minibike Reunion. We got a new group of judges. I want to thank all the prior judges for all the time, effort, and energies. Ed, this is covering your handsome face, so we got to move it back. I want to give a couple shout-outs in that regard, if I could. Those of you who've been watching, Joe Petralia, Temecula Bob, good to see you. Good to hear from you. Dane Walton. Dane, rumor has it you'll be over here helping us on Tuesday night. Kyle Moody, Joe Petralia, Justin Bett, Randy Keats, Steve Capito, Gay, you're still listening out there. I know it's kind of late on the East Coast. Dave Darnell, the pizzas, I got a couple pieces in there, Dave. They got my name on them. Ian Cordova, it was just, was it Eric, his brother's birthday? Happy birthday to him.
Yep.
Look, we're going to cut this one short. Ed, you may think about who you want to give some shout outs to. I want to again thank the folks over at GoPowersports.com. Not only did they send us a Stage 1 kit for the Predator, they also sent us a Stage 1 Deluxe Performance kit. They sent us a stash of these multicolored filter covers, and those guys are always there to support us. Just a small example of some of the items that we have that'll be given away to the participants at Joe's Minibike Reunion. If you'd like to register your bike and save, go to joesminibikereunion.com. There's even a discount for those folks who want to bring 3 bikes. There's a group discount. If you go to Campbell Automotive, which is right up the street on Foothill Boulevard, in fact, Ed, you may cross that when you go home, you can get a $5 off coupon from Campbell Automotive. So you get your cost of entry down to $20. If you register on site, it's $30. Scleroderma will be out there making water available for donations. We'll have plenty of food trucks this year, so they say. We've seen that stuff happen before.
The Dyno.
The Dyno's going to be good. In fact, I'm getting the sense, Ed, the Dyno is going to be
some shit talking out there.
Yeah, I gotta spend more time there. I'm working with Louie from L&L Motorsports. Louie always does a great job, but there's a certain coolness that happens around that dyno where everybody's out there watching. And those of you who are there for the dyno, check this out. If you are a pre-registered participant, it's guaranteed that you'll go on the dyno. Guaranteed. Those folks who register on site, depending on the volume, and you know how busy it got out there, then you work your way in. I have yet to have a problem with anybody not making the dyno. I don't want to create a problem that does not exist. However, I will tell you, it's becoming more and more of a participation than just a attraction. The first year, there weren't many guys that jumped on it. The second and third years, people were starting to. Now people are building bikes for the dyno. Those of you who need a little bit of inspiration, look around, man. Like everything I'm doing and everything I have been doing, and Ed, to a large degree, all your spare time, every weekend, particularly on the Barris bike, it's been focusing in on the event. So, look, we're doing this for you. So if you need motivation, here's 2 grown adult men that are spending most of their time making sure that you have a good time with this upcoming show. Check out the podcast in the past. Check out the Facebook post. It's not just us. It's everybody's excited about it. You should be too. It's the 8th annual, rain or shine. We're looking forward to having some of those folks who are in town early. I'll be at the park. Also be at the Joe's Minibike Reunion headquarters. If you want to help me schlep some stuff down there, if you want to come over because you need to borrow a wrench or a tool or something, I don't need people to come over and say hi and want to talk and want to tour. We can talk at the mini bike show. But if you want to stop by, especially those of you that are visiting from out of town, I'd like to hear that you got here safe. If you have any questions, let me know. Ed, you're going to be in somewhat of an ambassador role with all these people coming from different states.
I hope not.
They're going to ask you like where to go and what to do and what fancy restaurants. What are you going to tell them? Bob's or no, In-N-Out.
I'll tell them, In-N-Out, Bob.
In-N-Out. We got a gas station that sells cigarettes cheap.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So, E, you've been busy as well. Why don't you look in your calendar, and before we wrap up here, we'll try to come up with a date for the final podcast. It's going to be before the 19th. Have you decided which bike you think you're going to bring, Ed?
I think I might bring a go-kart.
Yes, but what mini bike, though?
Maybe the first 50 again.
Okay. See, people would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's iconic. The 16th? Wow, let's write that down. So the 16th, folks, there it is. Next, in the final podcast prior to the show, the 16th of October, right here on Facebook Live, 7 p.m. Pacific as always. Hey, the Texas crew. Yeah, we'd love to have some of you guys come out. It's a 22-hour drive. Rick Watson, come on out. We'll give you something for the ride home. Joe's coming in town Thursday night. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the help there. Dave Darnell as well. Dave, I've got some prizes for you. In fact, I think that's your backup camera. I think I've got some other stuff. There's some giveaways. Vernell Davis, I think, is who I think I had a cup and a T-shirt coming to you. I'll get to you. Believe me, brother. And then tonight, we're going to give out something, and we're going to give out a Joe's Minibike Reunion hat. And it'll be one of the new ones. You know what I did is I put the date again on the back.
Oh, okay.
Those of you may notice that I date the back of these hats. Justin Bett is going to be there Thursday as well. Great.
He's working on his mini bike for like 2 days just to get it on the dyno.
Texas Outlaw Minibike Rick Watson, congratulations. You just won a Joe's Minibike Reunion hat. And I don't know. Look at this. Check this guy out. See? Big shot. I talked earlier about the Riyadh Car Fest, right? In addition to having a who's who's coming out here, our tentacles reach as far as to the NHRA. Brad Gerber, former publisher of Hot Rod Magazine and the world's most handsome man, now runs up the sales force at NHRA. And I've got to tell you, I've never seen a guy in such a perfect position. Brad, we hope you're doing well. Look forward to seeing you. Brad will be coming out with Leah Pritchard. And God knows, when Brad rolls, there could be John Force with him. There could be Cruz Pedregon. There could be any pick an all-star in the NHRA circuit, and chances are he's going to be rolling with Brad. But Brad's coming out with the NHRA VIPs, some drag racers, and the movers and shakers, literally and figuratively, from NHRA. And there'll be another added attraction for the big upcoming Riyadh Car Festival, which is happening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, November the 21st through the 26th. I want to give a big shout out to all the folks over at Bonnie Air for putting together, which has to be described as, this is a task and this is an event that is unbelievable. In a matter of months, we've put on an international event that'll definitely be historic in so many ways. Those of you who may be coming, who are listening, and there's a few folks in this mini bike world who will be participating in addition to Brad, Kevin, and Ray from Steady Garage, Gary from Bassani, and a few other folks that are on board. Looking forward to seeing you all. Brad, thanks for checking it in. Look forward to seeing you at Joe's Minibike Reunion. Brad showed up before. Ira Gabriel from SEMA will be rolling out. I think Jerome Deaches from the Four Wheel Group over there at Discovery. Harrison Ford from their events department, maybe Michael Deere. And who knows, maybe even get a special guest appearance by Steve Parr, and he'll fucking fire us all. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. We'll see you again on the 16th. I'm Joe Sebergandio, and for my co-host, Evelyn, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Minibike Show.